Hello my friends, welcome to another episode of Warhammer 40,000 Inquisitor Martyr. My name is Wilfred. So by popular demand, I'd like to share with you a guide on the Tet Priest build I use for this Season 5. And I come up with this build, so I name it as the Synod of the Machine God, also known as the Diverse Pet build, as you will see in just a bit. Now, I've spent there about 100 hours playing this game, playing this Tet Priest this season, as well as for this particular build. Should there be any improvement to this build, I'll be putting it onto the comment box below as an update to the guide. So do check it out from time to time. Now, this is a very sandbox type of game, so a guide like this, or any guide that you read in the internet for this game, it is really to inspire, not to prescribe. So it should give you inspiration on how to build up your character, but you shouldn't be following exactly on what the gear that I or anybody use, or any affixes or enchants that people use, or passive in an exactitude kind of manner, because you depends on what kind of job that you've got, loot that you've got. You can build your own character, and if you can build it more successfully than I do, I'm more than happy about it as well. All right, now the strength of this Synod of the Machine God build is that it is very diverse. I'm using different types of constructs, and each of the construct will have their own special ability, and it's a very mix of all the different kind of damage type that make the build very strong against all situations, as well as to counter all the hazard as well. Because as you play the Intel or Void Crusade or any missions with the Tarot card, you may face some kind of very specific hazard against you. But as the Tet Priest for this Synod of the Machine God build, I don't even get worried, because there's not going to be any one hazard going to nullify my entire build. Right? Unlike some other builds I've got for the Psyker or the Crusader. And this is very effective as well in high mission. I've got a video on the Unholy Cathedral, past that, the build has passed that. And also after level 60-ish, you can probably do like a plus 10 level if you want to, pretty comfortably. It may not be the fastest, but it's comfortable. And you can go push even higher, but of course the higher you go, the slower it gets. So you can complete it, but just take a much longer time. Is it worth it or not is for you to tell. Gameplay is very, very relaxing. A lot of time it's just about resummoning the construct, placing the construct, and placing the Tet Priest accordingly. I just move in a strategic manner, and you'll just get the whole level completion. So it is, to me, it's one of the probably most relaxing gameplay I've got so far for the game, the class, as well as the build. Now, it is not the fastest clear speed I've seen. There are other classes and other builds that can do faster than this one. So this is one of the drawbacks you should take note of. Do invest into the movement speed kind of attribute. And also it is expensive to level up the weaponry as well, because you are now using different type of construct without repeats. So the same upgrade that you have a gear cannot be reused for other kind of like construct that you want to have a repeat construct. So just take note of that. I upgrade until level 90 and just leave it there, because most gear in this game is there about 90. So I think so far it's been pretty effective. If I really, really love this build, and I may, then I'll just push it a little bit further. But I'll also like to try out other builds as well. Now, what exactly is this build? Now, this build is inspired by the Synod of the Machine God perk. Although the perk itself is just so, because I've got another video on the does perk really matter when it comes to DPS? The result may surprise you. But anyway, it is a good perk, and there are gear to support that as well. Is to have the Castellan, Catapron, Xyloid, as well as Taratula summon, and that with the 4 type you'll get the perk fire up. But I add another construct as well, because I like the Catapron, both the Vanguard as a Destroyer. Destroyer is a very good boss killer, so I like to have that. And the Vanguard is very good like a tanker. So the Vanguard will actually charge in front of the enemy to you can taunt, you can do taunt, I do AoE. So there are many variety you can build around that. It's very, very rich and fun to play. Now you need to have 2 weapons to make it work. The first weapon, which is the weapon that you teleport onto the mission, is the one that you can summon the 5th construct. So you must that weapon, you won't use it at all, but the weapon will have enough slot for you to have the 5th construct. And after that you switch to the second weapon, which is the Radium Carbine weapon. Now that weapon is a must if your Tap Priest does no damage and leave the damage to the construct, because you need to direct the construct into a particular target. There's another weapon that does it as well. They can channel, and then you can have the construct deal 40% damage against that target. It is not as good because you'll see later on with the poison kind of like a poison setup, you can actually dot many mobs around you, and the damage buff to the construct is applied uniformly across not just the target that you are targeting. So that's go without saying. All right, now so what exactly does Tap Priest do then? I mean, if the construct does everything. Basically, like I said, just summon the construct. You need to reposition your turret as well as you progress into the mission. Any construct that get destroyed, especially the Psiloid Vivisector, then you need to resummon them. And then if the Vanguard, which is the 5th construct, get destroyed, you need to switch weapon and resummon them back. So it's a little bit of observance there. When the pets or the constructs are doing their thing, divide and conquer, your job is just to spam the poison DOT using the right mouse button. Just spam it across different kind of mob. Make sure that the poison damage is being applied across, so that all the construct will do extra damage against the poisoned enemy. And also and if there's a boss and you need to use your single shot, which is the left mouse button, to target the boss and to destroy the boss, so all the construct will then focus onto the boss, and it's really powerful because all the bleed, poison, burn, vulnerability, everything will be applied to the same target. The only drawback is that it takes time for the construct to reposition themselves in the range that can attack the single target. So you don't do it too often, but you do it when the time matters, because sometimes it's better for the construct to just spread around a little bit and do their thing. And of course, that goes without saying, stay alive, don't die. Now the construct setup, this is my setup, and you have a lot of leeway to change it because you may want to do differently. You may want to have your robot to do physical melee, if so you wish to. There's no hard and fast rule, so long as you satisfy the criteria of diversity, right? So the most important thing is that pick different construct and have a diversity across them, making sure that you have a mix of all the single target, multiple target. The most important thing is that you have all this like armor breaking and giant killer is really good, because those are like boss killer. And just pick and mix all these things, get a little bit of crowd control, and the priority wise, I would suggest that the turret will go first, because that is the one that you kind of summon as the first ability. And then Vivisector is the one that you just summon as it kind of get destroyed, and get destroyed quite often, because the Psiloid Vivisector is not really one that can survive very well. But the good thing about Vivisector is that it's very quick to target, and also it does bleed and also explode when it dies, so that is fine. Destroyer is also rather weak, but it's very powerful when it's at range. It's super powerful against the boss, super powerful against single target. And the robot is also very good, but that has to be in the hot bar and in the action bar. So as you switch weapon, you must have the robot there, because there is you can actually have a buff for the robot using the data flux. Last but not the least, because the destroyer is one of the strongest and also most durable, I pick it as the last one. As you switch weapon, you will not be able to monitor its health on the hotbar. So do just observe your construct there. Now, from a stats priority perspective, just a few highlight here. Ancient, it's rare to find an ancient that work for my build, so I usually ignore the ancients. Most of the ancient won't be that useful, although some may be. But I value Archaeotech and all the morality relics because the fact that I can reroll all the enchants to the one that I really need. So that is one that I value a lot, so I do a lot of crafting. Get 6 enchants as well. Don't get hung up with the item level. The 6 enchants will give you a lot more extra kind of buff to your construct. Now, you need defensive stats that go without saying because that hero cannot deal DPS, right? And also, but having said that, I mean, you can have some leeway there. You can judge. You don't have to go full crazy over all the defensive stats, but you should be able to make a judgmental call to observe, is your tap priest surviving well with the construct at a high, like a +10, +12, +13, 14, kind of like a mission level, or not. If it's not, then you need to increase your kind of survivability. And one thing that usually very important to me is the suppression. If my suppression get knocked down to yellow or amber or red, then I'm overwhelmed, right? I'm prone to knock down everything else. So I must have mechanism to replenish my suppression, be as inoculator or the stats within my gear that as my construct kill, I get suppression. Those are very important to me. All the stats that you have, most of the stats should be all damage stat to the construct, especially against poison targets. So you can safely assume that if any affixes or any enchants that doesn't have the word construct to it, it does nothing for the construct. So just remember that is really important. We also need a decent amount of data flux as well, and that comes a little bit that both way. You can have data flux regeneration, data flux reduction on summoning or usage, and more data flux, because you need the data flux to resummon construct as the situation get tough as well. And for the construct, you should have as many offensive module as you can, and re-roll the base stat. By the way, the base stat is very varied because it can be very low to very high. So just make sure you get the really good one. Again, get like 4 or 5 enchants. If you can get as many enchants as you can for the module. And get those that against poison is probably the best. And also any other things are like the crit stats are useless for this build, so don't even bother to invest in crit for this particular build. Now there are some noteworthy kind of enchant. I'm not going to go through all of them, but and you don't have to farm for it. But I just want to raise some of the interesting one that I've seen so far that is kind of relevant to the build and make my build stronger. So that's just for illustration. Now, when it comes to Syme Doctrine as well as Archaeotech shards, there's a kind of variety to it, but I would strongly recommend those that are buffing the damage bonus to the construct, XP as well. I do see in my build the physical damage, especially for the boss killer, is more than the hit damage. So I kind of prioritize against the the physical to the hit. But you can work out your own the kind of like what works for your build. But I think for this particular build, for the construct setup that I have, the physical side is stronger than the hit side, so I have that cover. Archaeotech shards, there are many available depending on what you have. For season 5, there's a really good judgment shard that we could use, but all in all, just all resist or movement speed, those are really good. There's an official companion as well. If you're not sure what is a Syme Doctrine and how to assemble one, do check out the link here and you can just get there. All right. Now, attribute wise, there's a lot of times we level a class or a build, we try to take it to the max, but I do find that the max for neither one of them is really that useful. So I will just deploy a 3-4-3 kind of setup for the logic, bionics, and mind link, and you can read the description there. I think most of them are very relevant to the build setup I have. Is really about the damage reduction as well as damage bonus, a little bit of data flux management, and a lot of time is sometimes I do need to pick some of this because of the gear that's given, but I think the gear is more than enough to like you see here. I have one extra point, but the gear is more than enough to supply all the attribute that you need really. So you don't need to go for ancient. That's what I'm meant for, because ancient usually have attribute attached to it. Now from a passive point of view, I'm going to go through really fast because not wanting to make this guide too long, but and like I said, it is to inspire, not to prescribe. So you have to work out what best for you. Construct defense is very important because I want my construct to be strong. Construct offense to me is also very important. I think the main the very good one that I see here is the life drain and the shield drain, because once I have that, my construct seems like so much stronger. So that is the, if you don't want to listen to anything else here, just take the life and shield drain. Those are really good stuff. Construct ability is really to manage the cooldown reduction for the construct relevant kind of abilities, and also to manage the data flux regens as well as the attack speed and so on. So that is what I have here. Construct specialization is really about the managing the data flux as well, and also buff to certain kind of construct that you may have. And of course, last but not of course, we do have the health defense, which in almost all the build I've got, I do pay attention to the health and defense of my my character. At minimal, I'll get to the end point whereby I will get stronger and more defensive. And as for Puritan point of view, in this build, there aren't really a lot of relevant notes, because again, some of these buff are not relevant to the construct, so why even bother? So I just pick a few that kind of make myself a little bit stronger. And then last but not the least is about the support, which is the last few points I put it in to give me more data flux as well as the regen. From a perk wise, Sinute of the Sinute of the Machine God is really important, so I picked that. Artificial Organ 2 is important as well. It gives you more kind of a defensive kind of a perk. But the third one is optional. I've got a video to prove that any DPS perk that you pick for this build is basically or pretty much the same, even if you pick movement speed. So I go for movement speed, which is unfettered maneuvering, because my build is not that high mobility. So yep, great. Thank you for watching. And should you have any question, feel free to drop at the comment box below, and more than happy to answer your question. So take care of yourself. The Emperor protects.